Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Space Cowboy, yeah. Some call us the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice. Because I speak of the pompatus of love.
Okay, there we go right there.
We're done.
Yeah, that's it.
Pompatus of love. That's one of those phrases I have no idea what it means. But when Steve Miller says it,
it's almost like when you don't know the word, you just go, yeah.
That was it. Maybe that was the original lyric that made it that way.
Yeah, just throw in a non-word there and see if people buy it.
Once again, Cliff, well done. Rolling through a Friday with you, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We are glad you're with us, and we'll get our cigarette lighters out and continue karaoke a little later.
Yes, we will.
As we hold the flame. Glad you're with us. It is going to be a huge weekend in the NFL. Again, arguably the best 2 days of the entire regular and postseason. Divisional playoffs, 2 great games Saturday, hopefully 2 great games Sunday. We'll get into all of that a little bit later with our over-under as well as our 5-point stance. We had some great guests early on today.
Yeah, we did.
Adam Thielen with the Vikings talking about how he came out of an undrafted player to be a dominant wide receiver on the team he grew up rooting for.
I love the way, and I listen, you could spend a show on it, of guys, because, we know the top picks and how important they are, but it's the guys like Adam Thielen, and there have been plenty of them who haven't been drafted who make a mark in the league. And I'll never forget, listen, even me, I was a 10th rounder out of a 12-round draft.
I was a 700th rounder and a 12-round draft.
I mean, 10th rounders weren't expected always to make the team, so you always had to find that way to get noticed. And I remember a couple of players asking me when I was done playing and doing games, and I'd see them on the college circuit, seniors going in, they were like, what's the key in like a training camp, and in preseason, it was, especially when you're not a star.
That was
player.
A great question you asked Thielen, by the way.
Well, I mean,
really
because it's true. The first thing is you better not make a mental mistake, because what happens when you're an undrafted guy or a late round draft pick, you will easily get put off to the side if you make that minor mistake.
Right.
If you don't line up in the right spot. If you make that mental error and your illegal procedure or you jump off sides, that is so magnified against you when you're undrafted that they'll just quickly put you to the side. And then basically what I told guys like that, I said, you have to make the coach stop the film at night.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Adam said. I made a couple of plays in practice, that got their attention. So at night when we all go in that meeting, and if you get a coach that stops the tape on you and runs it back a couple of times, becomes something an undrafted guy did well, that's your moment. That's when you're saying, okay, now I have the end. He described it perfectly. I made a couple of plays in practice, and after that, I just had to be consistent. Don't drop that ball. Don't run that wrong route. Don't make that mental mistake. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world to do, but that's the product and the process to be an undrafted guy and at least get yourself noticed and a shot to where the first year you end up on the practice squad. But so what? You're in the building every day, and that's what you want to be.
Well, that's exactly what happened with Thielen. He was cut on the final cut down in 2013 to get to the 53-man roster, but they signed him to the practice squad the very next day. He made the team in 2014, and his career has been going the right way ever since. So good for him. And by the way, we have to say kudos to this woman in Santa Clarita, California.
And this is amazing to me.
It's amazing that A, she thought of it, and B, she pulled it off. So would you like to explain what happened?
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
You go ahead.
It's the end of the Christmas season, right? And we are both purveyors of fake trees now, right?
We are
fake trees. We did the real trees for many years.
My own fault. I'd rather have a real tree, dry too many out. My own fault.
Yeah.
My own fault.
So she had her Christmas tree. It was a real tree.
Real tree.
And then went to Costco where she purchased the tree. And her interaction as she brought the tree back.
This is after Christmas, after how they
on
took
January
the tree
4th,
back.
Took the tree back. Another shopper noticed what was going on behind her in line and put it up on Facebook. She returned the tree.
Why? Why did she return the tree?
Because the tree had died.
Because the tree had died. A tree that had been cut down, that was basically dying anyway and going to die.
Correct.
She brought it back to the store. She bought it, and she said, "This tree died. I want my money back."
Correct. And you know what?
What happened?
She got her money back.
They gave her money. They didn't laugh her out of the store.
Gave her a refund. They gave her a refund. So my question to you is, what's more surprising? That she pulled it off? That she had the idea to think of it to begin with? Or that they said yes?
I don't know if we do it. I don't know her. So do we give her credit she was trying to pull one over on them, or she truly believes she should get her money back?
Either way.
Okay.
Either way, it's evil genius.
How's it? The store is doing it just to, I don't think they think they're going to have a run on people bringing back dead Christmas trees, which, by the way, is exactly what's going to happen when you cut one down.
Yeah.
So I think they were just kind of, here, take your money. We don't want bad. We don't want you spreading the word that we were bad to you. Here's your money and go. So I think that's why they did it, because it's a ridiculous thing. Yeah. It's a ridiculous thing.
But that they said yes is the most impressive thing.
I think that was more, don't you think that was more for PR? To not, because she doesn't get her money back. She goes out, she may tell two people, and they tell two people, and so on, and then for whatever reason, you see the headline, lady was disgruntled, Walmart didn't help them out.
Right.
Or Costco. Costco didn't help them out. So who knows? But to load a dead tree up, that means pine needles are everywhere. Everywhere.
Yep. Well, there was a picture of this guy's Facebook page.
Everywhere when you drive that thing out, and to take it back and say, I want my money back. It's amazing.
And kudos to her.
Absolutely right.
She got it.
By the way, another holiday question, end of holiday season, when do the lights need to come down?
You know what?
Are we there?
I think for most people we're there. You're probably not, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, that's why you're asking. Right?
Yeah.
You're looking for guidance.
I know there's not a specific date. How long do you get, though? You certainly passed the New Year. You get that. But how much into the New Year?
I think there was one year where we strung them through the bushes in the front. Yeah. I think we left them up all year.
Yeah.
Just because it was hard.
That's what you see sometimes.
If you don't light them up, no one knows they're there.
Some people not only do that, but they forget to unplug them. And then in June, when you go by their house at night, they have like the icicle things lit up on there. And you're like, what are you doing?
The icicles are more specific.
Yeah.
Like if you just have like white lights,
you
can get away with that. And every once in a while, we just wanted to beauty up the house. We're having a party in June or July.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
But if you have the red and green and blue or the icicles, it's a little more noticeable
kind of get called off
that you've just gotten lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you go with just the white lights and you leave them in the shrub and you don't turn them on, hey, you're saving yourself a step.
There you go. And everybody out there, you still got that tree that you threw on the city lawn to get picked up.
Yeah.
Hey, throw it in your car, take it back where you got it, see if you can get your money back.
And a refund.
There you go.
Starting a new trend. Unbelievable. All right, you ready for a little 5-point stance?
Absolutely.
This is 5-Point Stance on Golic and Wingo.
All right, this 5-point stance getting you ready, and it is all about the wild card divisional round, by the way. Here we go. All 4 divisional playoff matches feature a quarterback with a lot of experience going up against a quarterback making either their first or second postseason start. Brady has more Super Bowl wins, 5, than Mariota, Foles, and Case Keenum have playoff starts combined 3.
It's unbelievable. So just to put a number to it all, Brady 34, postseason starts, Mariota 1. Though in his one start, Mariota has more receiving touchdowns than Tom Brady. Ben Roethlisberger has 20 postseason starts. Blake Bortles 1. Matt Ryan has 9. Nick Foles 1. Drew Brees has 12. Case Keenum, he's got the goose egg. So, if you want to get into the experience factor of this, and you can put it any way you want. You're inexperienced, you don't know what's going on here, or you're so inexperienced and don't know what's going on, it won't affect you.
Yeah.
You can tailor it however you want.
You all right?
Yeah, I am.
Just making sure.
It's it's getting to me a little bit.
I got you.
It's agita. We haven't done our picks yet. I don't think I'm going to be going chalk because of the one game, unfortunately, where I spent most of my career. We'll see, but that there is a big disparity of quarterback experience in the playoffs, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Again, just the numbers. Did you go through all of them?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was.
I know you weren't listening.
I want you to listen. Hold on. Listen to that. Okay. Philadelphia currently a 3-point underdog, according to Westgate. Barring a drastic change in the line, it will be the first time a number 1 seed will be an underdog in its first playoff game since home field advantage was determined by the regular season win percentage in 1975.
And that's something. I mean, that's. And I get it. I mean, listen, your MVP quarterback is out. And Atlanta is really starting to play some good ball now, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So you replaced an MVP caliber quarterback, a guy who makes a lot of plays on the move, with a quarterback who's done a good job when he's had to fill in. And as a starter, we know the 1 year with Chip Kelly is 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but we know he's not that quarterback.
Right.
And now you have a defense that can get after the quarterback and a quarterback that can't move like the MVP candidate quarterback. So that to me is the biggest worry. And a lot's going to fall on that offensive line, led by their not only Pro Bowl center, but all pro center in Jason Kelsey. Lane Johnson out on the right side, and that right side of the line that we've talked about as well. But so much for running. But that's going to be the key. The best way to stop or mute a really good pass rush is don't let them know that you're going to be passing. So that means run the ball well, play action pass well. As I said, get them to play on their heels, not their toes. That's going to be the task of this Philadelphia offense.
And the amazing thing is a lot of people probably didn't realize that it hasn't always been home field advantage. Prior to 1975, it was just predetermined
right.
where the home field advantage would be based on we're just going to, it's a rotation. And the craziest thing about that, back in 1972 when the Miami Dolphins ran the table, perfect season, 17-0, including the regular season and playoffs. Still the only team to do that, even though the Patriots had a perfect 16-0 regular season. When they played the AFC Championship game that year, it was in Pittsburgh, though they never lost a game. Yeah. The final score of that game was 21-17. They went on to cap off the perfect season in Super Bowl VII, winning 14-7. But that's so foreign to think about now that having the best record doesn't determine where you get to play your playoff games.
It just seems like the most comical sense thing in the world to do. And yet, in other sports, we've let winners of All-Star games,
which I never understood. So kudos to Rob Manfred. There may be other issues that he has to deal with, but that one, that one turned around was right. No way an exhibition game, as they call it, the Midsummer Classic, should determine where Game 7 is going to be of the World Series. Continue on this 5-point stance. New England is currently favored by 13.5 points over Tennessee. New England's been involved in the last 5 instances of at least a 13.5 point spread in the postseason, and teams are 19-3 since 1966 when favored by that much.
So here's the deal. Derrick Henry is going to get the mother load again. No DeMarco Murray, and we saw how much better Derrick Henry got as the game went on. He's just a beast running the ball. And New England has not been great at stopping the run, especially through most of the season. As of late, the defense has certainly played better. But we've seen them give up the edge a bit at times and get run through at times. But they're also the masters of taking out what the other team likes to do, as you've talked about.
Right.
So I don't know if the expectation of Derrick Henry getting over 150 yards again, I think is going to be tough to do. I just think this is a classic New England. You think there's cracks in our wall right now. You think things are going bad. You think this thing is coming to an end. Get a load of this. Yeah. And I don't know if they're all doing it as their band of brothers. They may be doing this as, hey, for all maybe each individually to show what they can do. But to me, this is kind of the classic setup for it. I'll just tell you right now, I'm taking New England and I'm giving the points. Well, and I know Tennessee fans are going to feel, and you know what? Play that card. I'm sure the Tennessee players are, that nobody thinks we should be here. We're not getting respected, and you do what you got to do to win that game. But I just don't see it happening.
Well, I do get a feeling to that same point that in the post-game press conference when they were up 20 in the fourth quarter and they went for it on fourth down, Bill's response will be, we were giving the defense an opportunity to stop us.
There you go,
I feel you. And to that point, we said they've been involved in the last 5 times a spread of this much or more. Well, just check it out. 2016, New England was favored by 15.5 over Houston. They won by 18. 2011, they were favored by 13.5 over Denver. They won by 25. 2007, they were favored by 13.5 over San Diego. That one they won by 9. 2007, they were favored by 13.5 over Jacksonville. They won by 11. And then in 2001, they were an underdog by 14. And guess what? They won. Yeah. So history says go with the Patriots in these scenarios. They have covered most of the time with that big spread. And then there's the game to start off Sunday's play in the AFC. The Jags in Pittsburgh. They beat the Steelers 30-9 in Pittsburgh in Week 5. They'll become the 17th team to play 2 road games in Pittsburgh in the same season.
Listen, this is another one with that great Jacksonville defense. We talked to Malik Jackson. I said, what is from Jacksonville, their D tackle? I said, what's the difference of a Pittsburgh team this time? And he said, nothing really, same players, but everybody just, barring injury, you can get better, you can get worse, you can stand still. They got 3 Pro Bowlers on that Pittsburgh offensive line. Villanueva, the left tackle, Pouncey, the center, and DeCastro is kind of taking over as that top guard.
He's played very well
in the league. Made the All-Pro team this year, obviously, as well as the Pro Bowl. But again, the All-Pro is you pick one team from both AFC and NFC, so that's the bigger deal there, and he's on it. So what a great matchup with that group against that pass rushing D line and front seven of Jacksonville, who to the tune of 55 sacks. What's interesting in this, though, is Le'Veon Bell. You go back, the Steelers playoff elimination since he was drafted. 2014, they lost in the wild card. He didn't play because of a knee. 2015 divisional, he didn't play because of a knee. They lost those games. 2016 AFC championship game, he left that game with a groin injury. They lost that game. So they don't do well when he is not in the game. So that's and he has had more touches this year than he's ever had. So you would expect, obviously, barring, that injury where he wasn't even playing in games, this one would have to happen in game, that he makes it through the game. And they need him to make it through the game, averaging 27 touches a game. What a great matchup, that offense against that great defense.
Yeah, and we had Malik Jackson on the show earlier, and you sort of dealt with this your time in Philadelphia. Despite some offensive firepower, sometimes that offensive weapons just didn't really work, and the defense carried that team. And clearly, Malik Jackson has been on a team where the defense has carried them to a Super Bowl championship in Denver, and it certainly feels like if they're going to win, the defense is going to save the day again. So we asked him, how do you handle it when you have an offense that quite isn't as good as you as the defensive side is on the other side of the ball, and what's that relationship like? This is what he said.
As a defense, you can't really flinch if the offense isn't being productive that day or if they're getting 3 and outs. It's up to us to go make our adjustments quickly and then go back out there and get a 3 and out. So that's how we see it. We really don't cry about it. We're not like, oh my God, what are they doing? We know that they got some things they're going to fix and they're going to get it going. And when they do, it's going to be a beautiful thing. So we just go out there and do our job and make sure that, like last week, if our team scores 10 points, it's enough.
They probably need to score more than 10, but I started this portion of Off the Top with a stat that this will be the 17th time a team to play 2 road games in Pittsburgh in the same season. Only one opponent has won twice in Pittsburgh in the same year. That would be the Jaguars in 2007.
Really? Wow.
So they're trying to repeat their own franchise history here and see if they can do what the 2007 Jags did, win in Pittsburgh in the regular and postseason. And we'll finish up our 5-point stamp with the Vikings. They led the NFL in points and yards allowed during the regular season, something the franchise hasn't done since 1969 and 70, the days of the Purple People Eaters defense. The last 2 times the team led in points and yards allowed in the regular season reached the Super Bowl, and that would be the Seahawks in Super Bowls 48 and 49.
So what will be interesting for Minnesota defense is what you want to take away, because you look at the game against Carolina that New Orleans won. They took away Kamara and Ingram.
Yeah,
they rushed for 23 and 22 yards respectively. They each had 1 reception, so they didn't damage Carolina at all. But Drew Brees threw for 376, a couple of touchdowns. And so that's the thing, that they have the weapons to hit you on the ground, short passing game, longer passing game, especially with a guy like Ted Ginn who can go deep on you, and Michael Thomas, who's been incredible. But this Minnesota defense, to me, is stacked on all 3 levels: D-line, linebacker, secondary. So that especially when Kamara splits out, that tells you a lot on who they're going to cover with, how they may go zone, man, disguise, what they're going to do. That's a fun chess match to see that type of a matchup. But that's the side of the ball everybody's looking at, and then there certainly is the other side of Minnesota on offense against a resurgent New Orleans defense. And you heard Adam Thielen talk about, he thinks one of the best things about that defense for New Orleans is the confidence that they're playing with right now. You can't be any more confident as a defense than Minnesota and Jacksonville right now, the way they're playing. But that's such a huge thing. Just what Malik said there. We score 10 points. We feel our offense scores 10 points. We're going to win. Yeah. We're going to win. And that's a confidence that defenses have, and that's a confidence that New Orleans is getting right now on that side of the ball.
You guys kind of had to feel that way with that defense you guys had in Philadelphia, right?
Trey, there were times the offense would turn the ball over inside their own 5-10 yard line. We'd be run out there and say, well, there's no shot they're scoring.
Right.
And you know what else? They're not even going to get a chance to kick a field goal because we're going to turn the ball over.
Right.
When we stopped the St. Louis Cardinals 7 times inside the 2 yard line, that was
really impressive.
And to us, it was, they're not getting in. They ran it 7 times, and again, it was 7 because we were offsides a couple of times. We gave them, a few more chances. 7 runs,
you guys
7
just being
stops.
generous. You were giving them an opportunity to score on you.
There was. I don't know how to really explain it. There was just the thought there was no way that they were scoring. Now, certainly it doesn't work every time, but that's the confidence level every time Jacksonville runs out on the field. I'm sure they think we're going to not only stop them, we're getting a turnover. Minnesota the same way. That's what when you have great defenses like that, that's just the mentality. We score, we're ahead at some point of the game. Well, if they don't score anymore, we win. So we win.
Well, you guys had that depth on that defensive line. I'm trying to see if I got everybody. You had Clyde Simmons, Reggie White, Mike Pitts, yourself, and Jerome Brown. Am I missing anybody there?
That was the 5.
I mean, you guys when I first got there,
it was Pitts and Jerome that started in the middle. I would rotate in, and you had Clyde and Reggie obviously on the outside, and it was and then the linebackers, Seth Joyner. I mean, are you kidding me? Eric Allen. You had Andre Waters, Wes Hopkins, Byron Evans. I mean, they were stacked. Yeah. Stacked with A personalities, unbelievable talent, and in a game when you could get away with a lot of crazy hitting.
There was a little more physicality.
Yeah, there was. But, I mean, you look at this Jacksonville defense and this Minnesota defense. I mean, again, it's linebackers, secondary. They all have stars and big-time players on all those levels, and you do make it like a competition. I mean, there would be times where Reggie would get the sack, Jerome would be right behind, and Jerome would be, and there'd be, there'd be that chatter amongst one another.
You got what I was going to get.
You weren't concerned about the guy blocking you. It was who's getting to the quarterback first. I mean, that's a confidence and how great these players were to watch. It was incredible to see these guys play. And I mean, you're seeing that in some of these teams where they don't even care who they're playing. It's about, let's have our own competition. Who's going to make the play? Who's going to come up with the big play here?
Yeah, and that's the thing I think is different from Minnesota as opposed to Carolina. The front 7 of Carolina is very good, but the secondary of Minnesota, I don't think is going to let Drew Brees carve them up if they stop the run. Because, Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, Harrison Smith, Terrence Newman rotating in. That secondary is deep for Mike Zimmer, and that's his bread and butter.
I just love watching the confident defense that just lines up. They don't care how you line up. They're going to stop you. You can't out-chess match them. They just feel that they will beat you in any way.
By the way, a very important update coming because we came back, Cliff, who continues to cook behind the glass, came back with Steve Miller, the Joker, and the line Pompatus of Love from our fine researcher, Brett, who, by the way, is wearing a fine hat, and he has for the last couple of days.
He's kind of sick, so he's keeping his head warm.
Keeping his lid warm.
I like that. I do like the hat, though.
Pompatus is not a real word.
No.
It was first used in a 1954 song by the L.A.-based doo-wop group The Medallions, and then Steve Miller, of course, used it in the Joker. We just like saying it, the Pompatus of Love.
It's not a real word?
It is to us.
Okay.
That's all that matters.
There you go.
Coming up, a troubling trend for one of the best teams in sports, and how many more championships will Nick Saban and Bill Belichick win? We'll get into that and over-under next. Golic and Wingo back with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. Phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We played that little rejoin sound there.
Yeah.
At what level of alcohol did you guys decide, hey, let's cut our fingers and see if the piranhas can get the tips of our fingers? I would probably have to say just before the pass out level for the ability to be just upright and doing it. The line of demarcation? Past the line. Let me say this. Past the line of common sense and before the line of blackout. Yeah. Okay? In that somewhere in that gray. Oh, it was great. All right. How dumb were we? Oh, how dumb were we? Look, we've all been there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But just, I mean. Yeah. How many piranha did he have? It was like a school of No, it was just one. Oh, so just one. Just one. So it was a lonely piranha trying to make it in the world. We would have, people over when we do like the feedings of the piranha, to feed the piranha, watch him, do his thing. And then late night we would get a little stupid. Little stupid. Come here, here's my bloody finger, piranha. Come get it. Here, piranha. Yeah. Here. They made an effort for it, and he never got it. Okay. Well, you know what? You guys, I would have taken the over on that, but instead it was the under. So congratulations to you. Thank you very much. Nice, and it's time to play a little.
Over, under, with Golic and Wingo.
All right, all about what's going on this weekend in football. Over-under is brought to you by Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Run your business from your mobile phone. See how it works at grasshopper.com. You ready? Yes. All right, we're going to start in the NBA here. 126.5. The most points the Cavs will allow. Over! In either of their next two games.
Yeah, Indiana tonight and home against Golden State on Monday.
And we don't know what's going to happen with Steph Curry.
Right. We do not.
But you're still taking the over.
Yeah, I'll take the over. I'll say one of those teams, most likely Golden State, puts it on them. It's not like Cleveland is going to figure this out in 2 days, though I think, and I think they even realize that a decent amount of the defensive part of it could be the want to.
Yeah.
And you know what? The want to will get greater for them as the season goes on.
Yeah, the later it gets, the want to will be desirous.
And kids, that's not the way to go about your business, but it seems to be working for them.
Wow. Well, again, and they have allowed the Cavs have over 127 in 3 straight games.
Wow.
That is, that's defense from the late 80s in the NBA. Not exactly the way you're going to win championships now. Okay, speaking of championships, 2.5. Over-under, more championships won by Nick Saban and Bill Belichick combined going forward. Combined.
I'll go over.
So you think at least 3 more between the two of them?
Yeah. And I think the 2 could come from Nick. I mean, the talent he has there. Again, understand, in that overtime, there were 6 true freshmen on the field.
Crazy.
For Alabama, including the quarterback. So, I mean, they just reload. I mean, that's what they do there. So I think he definitely could get, they're already the favorites next year, and let's see where New England ends up this year, but as long as the thing about them that you worry about is they're more dependent on obviously Tom Brady being there and doing his thing, where Nick is doing it with players after players after players that he basically the better ones he keeps for just 3 years, where Tom has been there for 18, and that certainly helps. So yeah, I figure Tom has another year, 2 years tops of where he's going to be, where he can be. So that train may run a little, stop a little sooner than the Nick Saban one. But yeah, I'd go over, and I would say Nick will get the lion's share of those.
Well, yeah, and the thing there is, you're right. Nick can go get those guys at the peak of their career when they're just starting, and they'll be at their best. And Brady has to hang on to his best at this point. And again, to your issue about Saban, in that national championship game when they came back from 13 down in the first half, they're leading passer, they're leading rusher, and they're leading receiver in terms of yards, all freshmen. So they look like they're loaded for bear for another run. Okay, how about this one? 99.5 passing yards for Blake Bortles on Sunday against the Steelers. Over or under?
Now, again, when he played the Steelers, he didn't have over 99, right?
He had 95.
Yeah, 95.
95. He was 8 of 14 for 95 yards, and we're asking because last week he threw for 87 but ran for 88.
How do we think he's going to? But you know what? Oddly enough, I'm going to say over.
Yeah, I think I'll take the over too.
Oddly enough, I'm going to say over, even though last week he was under, and the last time he played the Steelers, he was under that 99.5. So, but I'm going to say over. Not like I'm going 350 here or anything like that, but I am going to say over.
We'll give him 140.
There you go.
And then he's way over.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so statistically bad yardage wise in that last game. It's almost impossible to believe that would happen again. But again, when they won week 5, again, he only had 95 yards. Leonard Fournette ran for 180, including a 90-yard score. And Ben tossed 5 interceptions. 2 of them were pick sixes. So we certainly think some things are going to change. I'll take the over. I think Blake Bortles gets a reasonable amount of passing
I do
yards.
as well.
Reasonable. And then there's this one, 16.5 points for the Eagles this weekend with Nick Foles as their quarterback.
Against an Atlanta defense that's playing well.
Averaging 16.3 given up the last 6 games they've played.
I'm going to say over, though.
Okay.
I am going to say over. Again, they need to get that running game going as well so they can kind of slow down that pass rush and not just let them, tee off. But I'm going to say over. I'm going to have a little more faith in Nick Foles that some people may have. It's not going to be any kind of scoring juggernaut, I don't believe. But the guy can pass the ball well. A lot's going to depend on the pressure that's on him because he's not going to be able to move a ton.
No. And again, the other issue, the real number here might be 20. If the Falcons score 20 or more, they win. If they don't score 20, they lose. It has been their line of demarcation. But the issue for Nick Foles is that Rams offense, which was the highest scoring offense in the NFL in the regular season, they only got 13 points against that Falcons defense. They are tacklers right now, and that's the thing. Whether it's Poole or Alford or Neal, they have done a great job. That guy makes the catch, he is going to the ground. Okay, how about this? 19.5 points allowed by the Vikings in their home game against that high-flying Saints offense. That was a heavy sigh.
I have too much belief in Drew Brees and that offense to think they get held under 20 points.
Under 20 points?
I think Minnesota can score over that as well. But I just have a hard time believing they'll get held to that few points. So
they did week 1 in Minnesota.
I know. Yeah, it's week 1. It's a long time ago.
Both teams are totally different. Sam Bradford was on the field.
Just the name Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep, you're right.
Different. Even though
Peterson was a Saint. That's how long ago
exactly
that was.
Right. Even though Kamara didn't do a lot the last game.
Yeah.
I just can't. Not with Drew Brees there. So I'll say over.
You're going to go over? I think I'm going to take the under, and I'll tell you why. The Vikes are the first team since the 2008 Ravens to hold their opponents under 20 points in all 8 regular season home games. But the Saints have all scored but 20 or more in all but 2 games, and one of those was week 1 in Minnesota.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The other thing about Minnesota, the New Orleans Saints, they have not won away from New Orleans in a long time.
Yeah, they haven't.
Week 9 in Buffalo was the last time they won on the road. They've lost their last 3 games away from New Orleans. But in many ways, what they'll see in Minnesota is similar to the dome field advantage they have.
That's exactly right.
Although it's going to be loud for the Vikings.
I don't feel great about this one, but I'm saying over anyway.
Okay, you'll go over, I'll go under. And then the last one, 1.5. Losses by the home teams this weekend. Home teams are the Eagles, the Pats, the Steelers, and the Vikings.
We're going to get into our picks, so I won't say it. I'm just going to say I'm going to go under. I do think one home team is going to lose.
I will go with you there. I think we are simpatico there. We will both think that one of those teams is losing. On the home side, we'll tell you who that is when we get our predictions a little bit later. Also ahead, we have asked, and you guys have delivered in bunches. Kudos to Allie for framing the question the right way. Give us your oddly specific divisional round predictions. We'll get that, and we'll have our picks on all 4 games. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN2. All right, Golic and Wingo here with you, getting close to making our predictions for all 4 games. But we have to give a shout-out to Allie, who put a great question on our Twitter feed, and the tweets have been the responses have been amazing. Oddly specific things that will happen in the divisional round. Like Devin tweets, Gronk catches 6 touchdowns for a total of 69 yards and gets fined for a non-family friendly TD celebration.
Of course he does.
Yeah. And we had Jerry, our bitmaster extraordinaire, or Jer Bear, as we call him, come up with some. And Will came up with this one. Bortles will bortle 5 times, setting a new playoff record for bortling by a guy with the name Bortles. # sometimes you gots to bortle.
So it's a great tweet, but what would it sound like in actual play-by-play version?
And what does that mean? So once again, here now, Jerry.
Heinz Field here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Steelers well on top of the Jags with a score of 49-2.
That's just not very good.
The clock ticks out, and that's going to do it for us here in Pittsburgh. The Steelers are on to the AFC Championship, but the Jags won't escape without setting a new playoff record. 5 total Bortles by a guy with the name Bortles. I have no idea what that means, but baby, sometimes you gots to bortle.
When you become a verb, you know?
Bortling?
Yeah.
Bortle service? I don't know. So
I don't know what it means either, but we put it into a play-by-play version.
It's in the great beyond now. Mm-hmm. We appreciate that. So we appreciate all of you responding on Twitter to your oddly specific predictions for the divisional round playoffs. And now it's time for us to make our picks.
Are we doing picks with points or without points?
However you want to do it.
I hate doing points, but don't most people do it with points?
We don't have to do what anybody else says. We can do it our own way.
Let's pick winners.
Winner, chicken dinner. All right, let's start it off. Atlanta at Philadelphia.
Man, the team I played for the most, I love Philadelphia. I think it's a great sports town. Usually when you start out with something like that.
I think you know where this is going.
A butt there. I just like the way Atlanta's playing right now, especially defensively. You get a less mobile quarterback than what you had in Carson Wentz. I'm definitely leaning toward Atlanta, not the offensive juggernaut that they were before, but still the potential firepower with Julio Jones and Sanu and then Freeman and Coleman in the backfield. I think it's just going to be very, very tough for Philadelphia. Looking forward to that matchup, especially Fletcher Cox against Alex Mack, the center for Atlanta. It's a nice interior line matchup here. But at the end, the weather's supposed to be in the mid-40s, so you're not worried about bad weather for an Atlanta team, a dome team coming up and playing outdoors. So I like Atlanta over Philly in this one.
I do love the fact that when you said, man, I love Philadelphia, it's almost like saying when people say, hey, no disrespect.
Yeah.
And then the disrespect comes.
It comes.
I certainly understand how you're torn. Look, at the end of the day for this matchup, it's about not so much the Eagles offense, but the Falcons defense. Last 6 games against really good teams, they've only given up 16.3 points per game. So my question is, how is a Nick Foles-led team that has struggled to convert third downs the last 2 weeks of the regular season, how are they going to keep the chains moving against a really good Falcons defense? I'm not sure they can. I'm going with Atlanta to win that game and get back to the conference championship game in the NFC for the second straight year.
All right, the next game, Tennessee at New England. This is interesting because Tennessee runs the ball well. Obviously, with Derrick Henry, ran it well last week, and they stopped the run. They were 4th in the league in stopping the run. But, I mean, New England at home in the playoffs, Tom Brady, just too good. And I really do think there is something to the intangible of, oh, you think we have issues here? It's ending here. We're going to show you just how much it's not ending here. Tom Brady with all the experience in the world, Marcus Mariota with none. One game, though he did throw a touchdown pass to himself.
Right.
The line in this is 13-some points, 13.5 points. Forgetting all that, New England wins this game, moves on to the AFC Championship.
Look, the one thing that's not going to happen is Derrick Henry and Delaney Walker will not beat the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick takes away what you do best. That's what the Tennessee Titans do best on offense, their running game and their big tight end. So if they win somehow, it's going to be Marcus Mariota hits Rashard Matthews and Corey Davis for big chunk plays. I'm not sure I see that happening either. There's a reason they're a big favorite. I am also going with the Patriots. By the way, we made our picks against the spread. You can check them out on our Twitter page at Golic and Wingo, or they're behind us on the chalkboard.
There you go. Sunday, first game, Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. You know, everybody looking forward to the Pittsburgh offense against the Killer Bees against that Jacksonville defense, which is just so dominant. To me, let's say they wash out there. You look for who's going to hit the big play. Let's look at the other side. I like Pittsburgh's defense more than Jacksonville's offense.
Yep.
So I think that, to me, could be the difference in that game. I'm going to go Pittsburgh at home in this one.
Well, look, only one team in the 17 teams that have tried have ever beaten the Steelers twice in a regular season and a postseason. It was the Jaguars of 2007, believe it or not. But I think the defense of Pittsburgh rises up here. They had more sacks than Jacksonville did, 56-55. I will go with Pittsburgh.
Last game, New Orleans at Minnesota could be the best matchup of the day, especially that New Orleans offense against that Minnesota defense. Love the way Minnesota defense is playing at home. Going to be loud. Maybe that'll be a couple of procedure penalties on New Orleans, which could help in this situation. And you have some big-time receivers that have done a good job for Minnesota this year, including Adam Thielen, who was on the show with us earlier. I like Minnesota at home.
I do too. That dome field advantage that the Saints really enjoy in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome is just as real at U.S. Bank Stadium for the Minnesota Vikings. It will be loud. That defense will be getting off against that Saints team. I really like Minnesota to keep the dream alive.
So we all agree. We agree on all of them.
So it's a bad radio.
We like Atlanta, we like New England, we like Pittsburgh, and we like Minnesota.
So either we'll be geniuses or we'll both be fools.
I think we know
come Monday morning.
Yeah.
Go with the fools.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. See you later. Or listening.
Fool's gold.